Hello everyone, this is Pippin Williamson with pippinsplugins.com, and what I'm going to show you in this tutorial is how to create an event system with Easy Content Types. Easy Content Types is my premium plugin that makes it really easy to create custom post types, custom taxonomies, and custom meta boxes. And due to some of the ways that Easy Content Types stores data, particularly meta information, it's extremely easy to create a simple yet powerful event system with Easy Content Types. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a event system that will display our events in upcoming events and past events based upon a date specified in a meta box for the occurrence of this event. So for example, we're going to be creating a page template that's going to list our events right here as upcoming events and past events. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using the Swagger theme, and I'm going to be creating a page template within the Swagger theme. Swagger is built by Jason Bovich, and it's a phenomenal theme, but any theme will work, 2011, 2010, or other themes. So let's go ahead and get started here. What you're going to need to first do is you're going to need to make sure that Easy Content Types is activated. And once we have Easy Content Types activated, let's go in and create a new post type called Events. We'll just fill in the information right here. We don't need it hierarchical. We'll enable the archives. We have no need for post formats. We don't want to exclude it from search. Yes, we'll show it in the nav menus. We'll enable the title, the editor, author. We'll go ahead and leave thumbnail. I'm not going to use the thumbnail in this tutorial, but you probably will. We'll disable the excerpt. We'll enable the excerpt. We'll get rid of custom fields, get rid of comments, and leave it like that. Okay, and menu slug. Let's set our slug to events and click add post type. Okay, so here's our post type now. First of all, I'm going to go update my permalinks to make sure that all of my events and such work correctly. Oh, and I'm going to actually go and set my post type to have a menu position of, say, 5. Just like that. Okay, so here are my events right here. And let's go ahead and add a new event real quick. Actually, no, before we do that, let's go back to our meta boxes. And we're going to create a new meta box that's going to allow us to store the date of when this meta box or when this event is going to happen. So we'll call it event meta. We're going to attach it to the events post type. And we'll click add meta box. Now we're going to go and edit some fields. We're going to add in the date. When is this event occurring? And we're going to choose the date field type. Okay, so now let's go take a look at some events, and we're going to add an event now. We'll just call it our first event. I'm going to throw in just some default dummy text, and I'm going to take one of these now and display it as the excerpt. And now we have our date down here, so we're going to choose a date for this to happen, and we're going to call it January 31st. Okay, and now we're going to publish. To make things a little easier, I'm going to pull my events meta up here. Now we're going to add in another one. So we're going to go ahead and just add in a few events. Our second event. And we're going to say this happens on February 8th. Publish. Okay, now I'm going to add another one. And this is a past event. And so we're going to set this back into December. So what I've done here basically is we have 2 upcoming events and 1 past event. And you'll note that the past event is technically published later than the upcoming events. Well, what I want to show you is that this doesn't matter. The publication date of the event doesn't matter. What is going to matter for us is the date entered in this meta box right here. Because what we're going to do is we're going to show all events that have an upcoming date. So this date right here that is in the future, we're going to show those right here. And anything that is not in the future, we're going to show right here. Okay, so now that we have a couple of events, let's go in and create our template file. So the first thing that you need to do is in whatever theme you're working with, you need to create a template called events. So if you open up page.php or some other template, you can define the template by saying template name and then the name of your template. So you see, if I go over here to Pages, go to Events, I have a template right here called Events. And that just ensures that when I modify my PHP file, everything I do there shows up. So this is my template Events. And because I'm using Swagger, it may look a little bit different than what you're using, but everything's still going to be more or less the same. So the content for this template is displayed in content-events.php, which you can see right here. So upcoming events, past events, and this is just plain HTML. And we can see that right here. So now what we're going to do is we are going to create two custom queries. And these are going to be, we're going to do a meta query in these, meaning that we're basically going to query the custom post type based upon the meta value. So let's go ahead and get rid of these because we don't need those. And let's set up our queries. So upcoming events equal get post upcoming args. And now up here, we're going to define an array called upcoming args. So this upcoming args array is going to contain all of the arguments for our get post query. So the first thing is we're going to define a post type. Our post type is going to be events. Next, we're going to order this by meta value. So we're going to order it by the meta value because when we query by the meta value, we can actually use that meta field that we use to query it to also sort the post. So in this case, that's going to cause it to sort by date. Order is going to be ascending. Let's set up post per page. We're going to set this to -1, which means unlimited. So we want to display every single upcoming event that there is. Now we're going to say meta key, and this is going to be the ID of the field that we want to query. So if we go back to our meta boxes, we see that we created this date field, and it has an ID of ECPT_date. So that's what we're going to use for the meta key, just like that. Meta value is going to be equal to time. So time is a PHP function that will get the exact time in a Unix timestamp for right now. And then we're going to do meta compare, and meta compare is going to be equal to greater than or equal. So what does this mean? Well, basically we're going to say, okay, we want to pull in everything that has a meta value that is greater than or equal to the current time. When we save an event through Easy Content Types using the date field, let me get back there really quickly. This date right here is actually stored as a Unix timestamp. If you're not familiar with what a Unix timestamp is, basically it is the number of seconds since 1970 January 1 at midnight, basically. And it allows us to calculate an exact time for this event or this timestamp. So basically, this is going to generate the exact Unix timestamp for right now, and each of our meta fields is going to contain the Unix timestamp for this date that we've specified right here. So if this date, if its timestamp is greater than the current timestamp, it's going to be pulled in by this query. And then for the past events, we're going to basically do the opposite. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create a loop for our upcoming events. So we're going to say if upcoming events. So we don't want to do anything if we don't get any upcoming events. And now let's say for each upcoming events as event. So basically we're going to loop through every single event that we found. And let's actually display our events in an unordered list. So if we have events, we're going to echo out an unordered list. And now for each of the events that we have, we're going to put them in a list item. having some trouble typing right now. Okay, so let's actually change that up just a little bit. Get underscore the underscore title event ID. So what we're going to do right here is nothing more than show the title of the event in a list item for every single upcoming event we have. So let's go ahead and see if that works. Hopefully I did everything correctly. And no, I did not, because obviously this is okay. So here's what's happened. I have actually set my page to have a slug of events, and I also set my post type to have a slug of events. So this is basically showing a post type archive, which is not what we want to do. So I'm actually going to change the slug on my events to say, we'll just call it event. Okay, so now if I go back here, actually I need to go back to my permalinks. I need to resave those to get rid of the conflict I created. Now if we refresh, okay, so now we can see our events template again and see what it did. It queried our first event and our second event. Let's go take a look at those really quickly. So our first event has a meta date of 1/31, so that's January 31. Well, today is the 27th of January, so this one is in the future, so it should be pulled in, and it did. Our second event has a meta date of February 8, and today is the 27th, so this is also in the future. And our third event, which is our past event, has a date of December 22nd, so it's past. It should not be pulled in, and notice it didn't. So now we have these two events. Let's go ahead and upgrade this just a little bit to include a permalink. So we're going to say get permalink event-id, just like that. I go over here and close that anchor tag. And now we have, okay, so upcoming events, our first event, we can click on it, and now we can see all of the details for this event. Go to our second event, and we can see all the details for our second event. Okay, so now let's do the same thing, but for past events. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to copy all of this code, just make things a little bit easier. And now I'm going to rename some things. Past args, past args. Past events. Okay, so the past events looks very, very similar. The one thing that we're going to do is we're going to change it so the order is descending, and we need to set the meta compare to less than. So now basically what we're saying is this is our current timestamp, and we want to get all events that have a timestamp less than today. So that would be in the past. So if we do that, just like this, we now see this is a past event. Okay, now why did I set this to descending and this to ascending? Well, the idea is that we want the event that is coming up most, that is closest to happening, we want to be at the very top and then follow down. In past events, we want it to be the opposite. We want the event that happened most recently in the past to show up at the top. So let me demonstrate this by adding another event. An event really far in the past. Event info. And so I'm going to set this back to November 1. Whoops. November 1. There we go. So now this one, oops, did I do that backwards? Okay, so this has an event. Oh, I see. There we go. November 1, like that. Actually, I set it to January 1. Okay, so you see this one actually showed up at the bottom because it's the furthest in the past. So we want it at the bottom, whereas this one is the closest in the past. So we want it at the top. And then this is opposite, basically. This is the closest in the future. This is the farthest in the future. So that's pretty much it. That's a really simple way to create an events management system that automatically displays your events based on upcoming or past events. If it was to be, let's say that this event right here, our first event, was set to happen on January 27th. Well, that's today. Well, so this is going to still show up here at the top because we used greater than or equal right here. Now, if we had, however, set this to the 26th, and basically what I'm trying to say is that as soon as an event is technically in the past, it's going to be moved down here automatically. So you don't ever have to worry about setting events to set it to past or set it to upcoming. It's all done for you. All you have to do is at the time of creation, just say, hey, this is when our event is happening. So now we can actually go a little further. And let's go ahead and display a date or so right here so that the user can see when this date is happening or when this event is happening. So let's add it in right here. And we're just going to say date. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to format our date nicely. But first I want to show you what happens if we do just this. So let's set date equals to get post meta event ID ECPT underscore date true. So this is going to contain the date of our meta field. So let's see what happens if we do just this. Doesn't look quite right, doesn't it? Well, that's because that is a Unix timestamp. So what we have to do is we need to actually convert this to an actual time. Well, to do that, it's actually pretty easy. Just to make things a little bit more clear, I'm going to separate these out more. So date equals the PHP function date, then the format we want, and let's just say it's FJY. This is actually if you're not familiar with how to format dates, then go do a Google search real quick for formatting date and time, and you'll come up with this page in the codex, and it will explain to you what all of these numbers and letters mean. So I'm going to do FJY date like this. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to convert the timestamp to an actually nicely formatted date. And so now we see date, January 31st, 2012. Date, February 8, 2012. And so let's go ahead and actually add this to our past events as well. Just like that. And there it is. Date, December 22nd, 2011. Date, November 1, 2011. So those are the dates that this event actually happened. Now, let's go a little bit further, and let's go add a new meta box, or a new meta field for the time. So let's call it event time. Event time. Enter the time for this event. We're just going to call it text. So now let's go back to our events. And now we have this new time. So let's say it's going to happen at 7 p.m. And I'm going to go back and edit each one of these. 7 p.m. 5 p.m. And let's do this one as 1 p.m. Or let's do 10 a.m. just for fun. Okay, so now let's set up a new field right here, and let's call it time. Event time, just like that. And now let's actually change this formatting a little bit. Let's do this. Echo. Basically, I'm just going to drop these down onto a new line. Having a serious issue navigating with my arrow keys. Echo date, time, there we go. And now let's just drop all of this into our past events as well, just like that. And now if we refresh, we should see, okay, our first event, date, January 31st, 2011, time 10 a.m. Our second event, date, February 8, 2012, time 5 p.m. Okay, so that's really, really cool. So now, if this becomes in the past, it's going to automatically go down here, etc. Now, a word of advice. There's one limitation to this right here. Because this is using a date only and does not also include the time, the exact timestamp is not calculated. What this will do is it will actually calculate the timestamp for the date at, I believe, 12 a.m. So what's not going to happen here is this is not going to show upcoming until 10 a.m. and then automatically go to past at 10:01. Instead, it's going to show upcoming until the day January 31st, at which point it will immediately jump down here. So if you wanted to expand this even further, you would actually set up your date picker to be a date plus time picker, which will then generate an exact timestamp. So that way, this will only go into past at exactly 10:01 a.m. or 10:59, whatever it is that you set. But this is still dramatically better than going and manually saying this is now past or this is closed, etc. It's still a much, much better system that's all automatic. So anyway, that's creating a basic event system with easy custom content types. You can do this without easy custom content types. Easy content types simply provides the way to easily create the post type, the meta boxes, the date field, etc. It also does everything for you in terms of storing metadates as Unix timestamps, which is very, very important here. If you were to simply store your meta field value as this, it's not going to work. I mean, technically it would be possible to work, but it would be much, much more complex because you would have to go through the process of converting this to a Unix timestamp, then querying it, and it would just be really messed up. So this makes it really, really easy to simply say, okay, our meta key is the date, we have the current time, and we're going to say everything that is greater than or equal to. So that makes things really, really simple. Let me know if you have any questions, if you have ideas for how to expand this, further things that you could do in terms of creating an event system, let me know. Maybe we'll do a second tutorial on this same topic. So anyway, let me know if you have questions, and thanks for watching.